Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Coach Dad podcast. So hello, my name is Ben and welcome to episode 3 of the Coach Dad podcast. On this week's episode, I'm going to take us all back to the very start of this season and have a look at my first couple of games and have a look at what's involved from the perspective of being a brand new football manager. But before we get into that, I want to have a quick look at the football that happened in my household over the weekend. So this week I've got something a little bit different. I was going to try and blog the games, but what it actually turned into was me interviewing both my boys. So this week I've got exclusive interviews with both my boys, Austin and Caleb, and I'll give you my thoughts on their game and how I think it went, and also they will give you their thoughts on how they thought it was going to turn out and how it actually turned out.
This week's football news.
So I'll have a look at my own team in a few minutes, but first I'll take you through my boy Caleb's game. Now, this weekend he had a sort of mid-table, well, it's more of a mid-table, top-of-the-table clash against a team called Refley. They're a very good team. I think they're about third in the league, and I think my boy's team, my boy Caleb, his team, Watlington, are about fourth or fifth. And it was a miserable day. It was wet and windy. Typical British weather, winter weather, but the game was an absolute cracker. Now, my boy actually started on the bench. He's played pretty much all the games in the last 3 or 4 games, but they had a full squad, and he found himself on the bench for the first half. Now, the first half was a really tight affair. It was 1-0 at half time. End-to-end stuff, really good. Some great goalkeeping on show. So it was some good football, some really good football from a bunch of 11 and 12-year-olds. And it was really entertaining, to be fair. And then my interest stepped up a little bit when my boy came on at half time and he dropped straight into centre midfield. And then the game it really opened up in the second half. And then so they went from being 1-0 down to then they went 2-1 up. They were really in control. They looked like they were really turning the screw, and they had chance after chance. And then next thing you know, the ball's at the other end, and then it's 2-2, and then it's 3-2 to Refley, and the game would say ebbing and flowing. And again, there's chance after chance, hit the post and hit the bar, and just wouldn't drop for him. And then Refley got another one to make it 4-2. I mean, they were worthy of the lead. I mean, if the chances would have gone in, this could have been an 8-all game. It was so open and so free flowing, but it was really good and entertaining and played in the right spirit, in the right way. And then with sort of a couple of minutes to go, Watlington got a corner. My lad's team swung in and it went straight in from the corner, 4-3. And then they piled on the pressure in the last couple of minutes, but they just couldn't get the break. And everything they sort of were hitting was going wide or was being saved by the keeper. And equally at the other end, I mean, they could have broke away and it could have been 6-3, but it ended 4-3, and I think that was just about the right result. It's such a close game, and if the chances would have been taken, like I said, it could end up 9-9 or 10-10. But yeah, it was a fantastic game. My lad come off disappointed because he thought he had a bit of a stinker, and to be fair, it weren't his best game. I think he found it hard to get going, the sort of tempo of the game, sort of maybe coming into a game at so high tempo and in the second half. And like I say, it really opened up when he came on, and the game didn't really pass him by. He just needs to I keep telling him, he was disappointed in the car after again, and I was just telling him it's all about confidence, really. He's just got to be confident with it. He's got the ability. It's just about getting his head up and getting stuck in. And one thing he does, he still sort of dives out the way occasionally when the ball's being hit at him. I'm like, stand, take it in the face, boy. But yeah, he did okay. He was just disappointed, really. As they are, they take it personally. I think when they come off at that age, and they don't get the win, it makes or break their weekend sometimes. Anyway, some boys it does, some it doesn't. But for my lad, a win and he's buzzing, and a loss, you've got to pick him up for the rest of the day or for the next couple of hours and sort of pick his lip off the ground. But yeah, no, he did well. The whole team did well, actually. Like I say, they've had a couple of defeats in the last couple of weeks. One was a great battling defeat, and one was just sort of they rolled over and took it essentially. Whereas this week it was just open. They were back to themselves. They had a full squad. They were zipping the ball about, and it's just how it goes sometimes. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get the win. But here's Caleb's thoughts on the game.
So Caleb, your game today. Tell us a little bit about the result.
It wasn't a bad result. What was the score in the end? 4-3.
4-3. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your performance. How do you think you got on? Come on as a second half sub.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Where'd you play?
Midfield.
Yeah. What do you think you? What was the score when you come on?
2-1.
I think you were losing actually, 1-0.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Yeah. Second half, and then come back, got 2-1 up, and then they come back 4-2. They were winning, then scored with a last-minute goal, and then put the pressure on. Just couldn't get the win though.
Yeah.
No. What do you reckon? What do you reckon you could work on perhaps the next game to get a little bit better?
Passing, first touch.
First touch, probably closing down, yeah? Not ducking out of the way. Get there though, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, that was Caleb's thoughts on today's game. So, unlucky 4-3 defeat against a good wrestling team. Plenty of chances, but unfortunately just couldn't get the win.
So apologies about the quality of that recording. My iPhone decided to have a bit of a brain fart, evidently. And yeah, I didn't realise until after, until I sent the email across, or sent the voice note across to my computer to edit up, and I thought, oh no. And a quick reset and away I went again, and all seems to be well. But it's also on Austin's recording on one of them as well, so quite what's gone on, I don't know, but I'll check it next time. But yeah, that was his thoughts. Obviously, he thought he did all right. You can hear he's quite disappointed. But yeah, they go again. Actually, no, they don't go again. They've got a break this week because of the number of teams in his league. There's an odd amount, so every couple of months they'll have a weekend without a fixture unless they can arrange a friendly. But I think they've got a weekend off this weekend. But my own team, we had an away game this week, and it was the first time that we had a 7v7 game. Now, I've been looking forward to 7v7, and I'm looking forward to next season 7v7 because I'm pretty tired of 5v5. Now, as you are aware, we are a struggling team. We haven't had a positive result yet, and I do think that we're ready for 7v7. You might think that's odd, but I just think the extra players on the pitch and the extra space is going to be beneficial all around. I can utilise the squad a lot better. They can get more time because I'm not going to add any players, I reckon, over the summer. I may actually tell a lie. I'm probably going to add one if I can, because I know I'm going to lose a player. So I do want to add one more player, but that will give me sort of 10, maybe 11, and then that way I can rotate a lot better. The boys will get more game time because, like I say, I've got a full squad at the minute of 10. Yet, although I'm yet to have all 10 turn up at once, but yeah, it's hard to sort of rotate when you've got 10 on a 5v5 on a small game and a small pitch. So it's just going to be beneficial, and the boys are ready for it. But before I get into my thoughts on this week's game, I'm just going to throw you over to Austin, and he's going to give you his thoughts on how he thinks he's going to get on. Right, so we've just arrived at the car park for the game today. Balls in the boot, car loaded up, seat, everything ready to go. Now about to go out and meet and greet and all the rest of it and wait for the other parents to arrive. But before that, I'm here with Austin, and I'm going to ask him a few questions. So Austin, what do you think about today? How do you think we're going to get on?
Good.
Good? Do you think we're going to get a win?
Yeah.
We're going to try hard, aren't we? Yeah? So tell us a little bit about where you play.
I play at Sholdham.
Yeah, and what positions?
Left wing, right wing, or up front.
Yeah, and today you're going to be playing 7-on-7 for the first time. So, it's going to be a bit different for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to get on?
Good.
Yeah? Going to try and get them goals?
Yeah.
So how many goals you got so far this season?
2.
2. How many's your brother got?
0.
0? What? Is he better than you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He's older, isn't he? Can he? But yeah, you're winning the goals at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, doing well, aren't we? And we'll see how we go. So that was Austin's pre-game thoughts, obviously, on the game. The game went ahead, and we did very well. To be fair, I can safely say that is probably the most enjoyable game that I've seen the boys play so far. It was fantastic. It was very open. We created lots of chance. Unfortunately, it was a negative result, as is the way. We did play a very good team. So, But nothing but positives, and I can't wait to get the next few games out of the way and the season to be over now, so I can start getting deep into 7v7. And it went pretty much how I thought. I set up in a 2-3-1 formation, and the boys really took to it. They sort of got it straight away. I was fearful that it was going to be 7 players all chasing the ball at once, but no, they stuck to it. We had a couple in the back, one stronger one who was a bit of a marshal, and he was pulling the other ones along, whoever he was partnered up with. I've got a couple of little leggy runners right in the middle of the park, and they did exactly that. They were here, there and everywhere. My top goal scorer was away this weekend, so I ended up putting my little boy up top, actually, and he was fantastic. It really benefited him, the open space, and being able to sort of run at people and have good runs at people. And he went on some fantastic, mazy runs, went past players with confidence, and he didn't get his goal this week, but he did really well, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about his performance this week in the second interview I've got of him, the after-game interview. But yeah, really good again, and unfortunately, we could have scored. We didn't get a goal this week, but we could have scored. We actually had a penalty, and my lad Austin won the penalty. But what it is, we got a little lad who plays for us. Now we're from a place called Marham, and we've got some military kids or RAF kids, and I've got a few of them who play for me, and one of them is actually in a couple of months. His dad has been deployed. His dad helps me, actually. His name's Paul. He helps me helps me as a volunteer, helps me come and do training sessions and all the rest of it, and he's sort of my second in command. Yeah, so basically his lad and his family, and they're all moving away in a couple of months. And earlier in the season, before a training session, me and his dad were setting up the cones and the goals, and right beside where we play on the rec on the field, there's a park. Now, this little lad, he was playing with my boy, and they were just playing on some climbing frames or whatever, and he fell off, and he actually broke his leg. And this was, a couple of months into the season. I think it's about September time, October. And it put him out of action. He was in a cast and a boot, and he missed the majority of the season, and he came back about a month ago, and he's sort of been dipping in and out of games, getting stronger and stronger, and I think he's been testing himself. But yeah, he's a real good player, he's a real good defender, and he's a bit of a rock. Now, I know that within 2 months he's going to be gone and won't be back, if at all, a minimum of 3 years. His dad says he likes the area, so you never know, he might come back, but as is, he's been deployed somewhere, and he's gonna be gone, unfortunately, for the foreseeable. But so I thought, this little lad, he's had all these sort of trials and tribulations this season. He plays at the back, but he's a real good player. He's really good. He can get his foot on the ball, he can get his head up, and he can pass. When we do penalties and shooting, he always buries them. So yeah, we got a penalty in the second half, sort of late on, and I was like, lad, get up, you take it. Bit of a go away present maybe. It's always great to get a goal. I think in my squad, probably 50% of the players have scored. So before the season's out, if we get penalties, I want to go through them and, or try and get them a goal where we can, because there's nothing better than scoring a goal in football. So yeah, I thought I was doing the right thing. And the poor little lad stepped up and he just scuffed it and it went wide.
This needs the nerve of the coolest man on the field. Oh, he's put it over the bar! He's missed it!
So yeah, it's bit guttering, but it is what it is, and we've got a few games left and a little bit of time yet, so it may come. But yeah, so we did get a goal, and actually on another note, it was the opposition goalkeeper. The coach of the opposition said it's his first game today, so he might make a mistake or two, but he was fantastic, and I actually had a word with his parents in the car park after, not trying to butter him up or anything, but I've talked about a goalkeeper already on the previous episode and how I think it's an important position at this age, and if you can nail down a goalkeeper and get one, it's fantastic. And I've actually convinced one of my boys, I think he's going to be one of the lads who plays for me. I think I've convinced him now to go in goal. He's played the last 2 games in goal for me, and he's a great little lad, to be fair. Just got to go through some of the finer points and work on confidence, but I think I've finally nailed down that position. But yeah, I had talked to the parents in the car park after. I always like to go across to parents, both sets after, and praise boys and girls. I think that should be done. Unfortunately, I don't think enough of it's done, and there is a little bit done, well done from the but sort of I like to actually go across, and if someone's had a standout game, then I'll go across and I will say well done. But yeah, so that was the game, and I'll throw it over to Austin now because he's got a few things to say about his performance. So here's my interview with Austin after the game. Right, so we're all done. We've just finished. Unfortunately, another negative result, but the lads played really well. It's the first time playing 7v7. We've got Austin here. Just want a quick word about your game today. How do you feel you did today, mate, my man?
Very happy.
Yeah, what are you happy for?
Because I got parents player.
Well done, mate. Do you know what that's for?
Yeah.
Top effort. Lots of running. What was you unhappy about today? Anything you was unhappy about?
When the ref said it was a handball when it wasn't.
Sometimes you've got to roll with them decisions, mate. But yeah, do you think perhaps next game we might try and get a victory?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you going to try hard?
Yeah.
Yeah? But overall, happy with today?
Yeah.
That's it, my man. All right. So, yeah, there's Austin's thought. Obviously, he got parents player for the second time in 3 games. He was absolutely ecstatic again. But he's just, like I say, he's gone from no confidence to one of the lowest ability players in the team to he's now having sort of a bit of a purple patch where things are coming up for him because he's putting in the effort, and it is in him. Took a bit of a knock of confidence last year and moving to a new team, even though he knows most of the lads from school. But yeah, he's cracking on, and yeah, he was absolutely gutted because he got given a handball when it weren't a handball, and he actually come up to me when the ref gave a foul because he took it the wrong way. He came over to me and he was sort of a little bit in tears, and I was like, mate, don't worry about it. It was a handball, even though he says it wasn't a handball. Someone smashed a ball at him and it hit him in the hands. He put his hands up to defend himself. A bit of a natural reaction, and the ref gave it. He was only a young lad, so you roll with the punches, and I told him that's part of playing football, and he'll learn from that. And when the ref gives the decision, you have to go by it. And I told him that as much as that, even if he doesn't think it's right or wrong, you just place the rest whistle. So he went back on after that, and he just, like I say, that was early on in the game, and he just had a great game. So I'm so made up for him because it's this whole football thing, the coach dad thing, that's a me and him journey essentially. Like, the only reason I'm doing it is because of him. So I'm so glad that after sort of half a season of him sort of, sometimes I wondered if he is interested in playing football. I have said to him, look, mate, if you don't want to play football and you want to do something else on the weekend, if you want to go and play golf, if you just want to, be into computers, if you just want to take up, roller skating, whatever, I don't care. We'll do that together. Even though I love my football, he's like, nope, I want to play football, and he's becoming a bit of a player, and I'm glad. And when I say a bit of a player, I don't mean he's going to, in the academies, I'm watching out for him soon. He's starting to fulfill his own potential, and that's what I like to see in all the lads that I coach. If they can, regardless of the results, if they can have these little standout games and they learn things and they grow from week to week, game to game, then hopefully that means that I'm doing a job right. And so it's great to see. So yeah, that was the week in football in my household. Again, a couple of negative results, but different from last week where it was actually great football in both games, and it's one of them weeks where if things would have gone slightly different, there could have been a couple of positive results, but that's the way it is. And next week we have got a home game against, I think, a local team called Terrington. So they've got plenty of teams. I think they've got 3 teams at this age group. So yeah, we haven't never played this one before. We was due to play them just before or after Christmas, but it got postponed, got called off because of the rain. So yeah, we lock horns with them at the weekend, and it is the last of 2 sort of league games, and then after the Easter weekend, they're going to put you against teams. Obviously, there's a league table behind the scenes, and they're going to put you against the similar ability team. So, yeah, we're hoping 6 games potentially left, maybe, and I'm hoping we get the we get our victory eventually, our positive result. But yeah, so that was this week in football in our household. So now I want to take you back, like I said at the start of the podcast, to the first weekend of the season and have a look at what was involved in my very first 2 games as a brand new football manager. So the season started off in early September. I had just literally got out my cast a couple of weeks earlier, and it was full steam ahead. We'd had a couple of training sessions. I had just about got my team together. I think of the team that I started with on that first day, 2 of the boys don't play for me anymore, and I have now got 3 or 4 extra players. I started that day with 6 or 7. My first game as a manager was, we were away to a little town a couple of miles down the road called Downham, and it was one of those ones where it was early September. It was one of the hottest days of the year, absolutely boiling hot. But what went into that essentially was, obviously, I got contacted by the opposition manager. He told me where and when, told me where to park. They don't have parking there. You have to park at the leisure centre and walk across to where they're based. So I had to obviously put all this in a group, and away we went. We turned up on the very first day of the season. Now, it was quite nice to be away for the first game because I didn't have that pressure of being a brand new coach of a brand new team, and then I've got to set all the venue up and, set all the goals and get a ref and all the rest of it. I could just turn up sort of half an hour before, do a bit of a warm-up with the boys, and then away we go. But this was my first sort of real opportunity to have a look at the boys in a game situation. We managed to play one friendly, but because of low numbers, we had to mix it with, we have 2 teams at our age group. We had to mix it with the other group as well because sort of holidays and whatnot. We only barely had enough to put a dual squad together. So I couldn't really get a gauge of what I was working with. So yeah, this gave me that opportunity, and it's funny how what you see in training to what happens on a pitch is totally different, especially with boys that you've never seen before. They act differently. Some have just a better knowledge of it, and some get it, some don't, essentially, and some you have to coach a little bit more and some you don't. But yeah, I put players where I thought they'd play. I guess my biggest conundrum going into the first game of the season was what formation to play. Like, I've no idea on formations. Obviously, I know football and I know a bit about football and all the rest of it, but a 5v5, like, what do you play?
Ladies and gentlemen, England will be playing 4-4-2.
So I had a look at online maybe a week or two before, and the favoured formations are a 2-2, a 1-3. You do a diamond. So that's what I play. I play one at the back, one left, one right. So the left and right players, they get up and down, and then I like to keep my striker high. Sometimes happens, they sometimes drift about and follow the ball, but yeah, I always play a diamond, and I started with a diamond that day, and we got off to a fairly decent start, but it was a negative result in the end. Each quarter ended with a few goals going in. It was sort of evenly spaced out. It did end up in double figures, and we did get a goal, and the boys were red in the face. But yeah, they put in the effort. But I found out a lot about certain players that day. Like I say, I have a couple we played that day who after that didn't play, and it wasn't because of me. I'd happily coach them, but their parents just didn't think football was for them at this point. And so I do actually, my lad Austin does school with one of them, and every time I see him, I'm like, you fancy coming back to play football for me? But yeah, they got a negative result, but it was all sort of easy to deal with, essentially, the first game. And we gave the man of the match awards out after the game. Yeah, went away happy. But the only sort of tidbit that you have to do is fill in the FA full time after the game. So I had to navigate that. You have to put your squad in, you have to put the score in, you have to put pitch conditions, the opposition, how the opposition behaved, parents, the referee standards, and I didn't have any bothers with any of it. It was all spot on, really. All fantastic, really. But the lads really did suffer with the heat that day. So yeah, plenty of water breaks and drinks breaks, but plenty of red faces. But they all went away happy. We had some penalties at the end, like you do at this age, and yeah, we went from there. So the second game of the season, we had a home game. Obviously, that was going to be different because I had a lot more to do this week and a lot more responsibility and onus on myself. We had a home game against one of the Terrington teams. I just had a quick look actually on the spreadsheet. Like I say, we've got a Terrington team this week coming up this weekend, and that weekend we had a Terrington team, a totally different team. They've got 3 teams. But yeah, so what went into it, I had to obviously, the week before, I quickly found out that I had to arrange the time, and the time has to be between a certain time. So where we are, it has to be between 10 a.m. or 12. I can pick or choose any time, any kick-off time in that window, and the opposition have to go with it. Any time outside of that time frame has to be agreed upon by both parties. But I've managed to get all my games within that. I like to get my home games done at 10. That way we get down at 9:30. I can set up about 15:15. And then it gets us all away for 11 o'clock, and you've got the rest of the day, really. You can go have some lunch and you've got the rest of the day. I don't sort of like a 11:30 kick-off 45 minutes away, that kills the day really. Like, we love our football, don't get me wrong, but I've also got a family as well, and I've got a little girl, a wife, and like another lad as well, so it's nice to get something else in on the weekend, because like I say, both the boys play Saturday and Sunday, so yeah, I like to get them done nice and early. So that was the first bit. So I arranged a 10 a.m. kickoff. I put it on our little band group, all the details of we're going to arrive half an hour early, then we're going to obviously do a warm-up, and then it'll be kick-off and away we go. I also gave the opposition all the details of where we are, the facilities available, and then my sort of thoughts turned to refereeing, because I've not been told, being a new manager, I've not been told about where all the information of the referees are, who does it, how the process works of paying. I don't know. At the time, I didn't know any of that, and I came to find over the coming weeks that there is a pool of money there and how to go and do it. But that week I didn't know. But I asked a few questions and that, and essentially decided that I was going to try and either ref it myself or get a parent to ref it, or even my boy, my oldest boy, to ref it. So that was decided on. The referee, you got to sort of, again, if you're new to this, you're going to need to sort of referee. Now, I've done, between me and my oldest boy, we've done most of the games of our home games this season. I am going to try and get a referee for 4 games next season. Now, obviously, I want to be on the sideline, a 7v7. I don't want to be reffing and coaching at the same time. I actually find, though, this season, when I'm reffing, it's a help. I'm not sort of coaching as I'm going, but I'm encouraging as I go, and I do it for both teams. But obviously my own team, it helps because, like I say, we're a low ability team, so any help I can give them while I'm reffing, I don't give unfair advantages, obviously, like that, because obviously we probably would have won a game by now, but no, I sort of try and help as I go, essentially. But I do that for both teams. If someone's done something well, I'll say well done. If someone's done something wrong, I'll point it out. I'll go through it. A foul throw, I'll try and tell them how to take them through the action of how to do it properly. But yeah, so referee is something you've got to bear in mind if you're starting up. And then obviously you've got to go through the process on the day. So on the day, thinking back to that day, I got down there bright and early, 9 o'clock again. Even though it was September, it was early September, so technically still summer, absolutely boiling hot. I set up the goals, I set up the parent rope, done the pitch check, and all was lovely, and just waited for everyone to arrive, and a game kicked off. I refed it and sort of coached it. Like I said, I only had 6 or 7 lads at the time, so it was easy to roll on subs. I normally wait until the breaks to do my substitutions, and from reffing, it was fine. I didn't get no bother. The games, kids at that age don't tend to give you any chip back, so it was all done well. It was a negative result that day again, but we actually scored our first goal, and that was like we'd won the World Cup when that went in. That meant everything. Again, that was a double figures negative result against one of quite a few we had at the start of the season. From then, results did start to come down, but like I say, we turned up, we'd played our first game, tick that off, getting that first goal, tick that off, get the score. We've got these goals as we go on, get the scores down, try and score 2 goals in a game, try and get everybody to score a goal. So we've got all these little goals that we try each week, but that was the big one. That was, we got our first goal, and I actually got a bit of jokey stick from my own parents as I didn't have goal line technology, but they still insist that we should have had a second goal, but I can only call what I see, unfortunately, and they said it went over the line, but I didn't see it. So benefit of the doubt there was given to the goalkeeper. That was essentially it. That's all that's involved in a home game. For myself, I have to go and unlock, check the pitch. It's not too bad. You have to put the rope out. You have to put the corner flags out, check the pitch, put the goals out, make sure you got the facilities all up and running, the toilets and the changing rooms, and if you've got a tuck shop or whatever, sometimes we have one, sometimes we don't. Yeah, away you go, really. Obviously, organising that referee, if you're going to start this up, that's probably the only sort of negative bit, I would say, or the bit that's a little bit hard to navigate at underage football, is finding a referee. I know it happens at other age groups. I see it come on our coaches chat all the time. Can anyone ref a game for us? So yeah, refs at youth football is hard to find. So that's why we really need to encourage youngsters that are sort of within the game to try and take up doing refereeing, and we should be encouraging them. I'm all up for encouraging them and not giving them no crap, essentially, because it's not fair. And like I say, my oldest lad does it. I chuck him a few quid for doing it. Yeah, just that referee thing is probably the only sort of negative that I can think of when arranging a football game. Dealing with the opposition coaches, that's never a bother. dealing with your own team, that's never a bother. I've never had no negative comeback from kick-off times or anything like that. Actually, I did once where we got a pushback from about 9 o'clock kick-off to 11:30 when it was bad weather to let a pitch 4 out. They were happy that they got a lay-in. But like I say, my view on it is I like to get done early so we get the rest of the day. But yeah, so arranging everything is pretty straightforward. If you're going to be looking to get into coaching or volunteering, most of it's easy. You've just got to figure out who to go to for access to your facilities. You may get a key, you may have padlocks. That may be open when you get there, depends on the size of your club. So yeah, you got to figure them bits out. You got to set up your pitch and make sure it's clear. But the referee is the only sort of variable there. That's going to be something that you're going to have to cross when you come to it. But like I say, within your club, you may have someone there who's willing to do it, or you may have a sibling like I do, or a brother and sister, or someone who plays like my son. He'll do it. So yes, yeah, it's all not so bad. And once you do it once or twice, then you're away and you get in the groove. Now I can do a setup in about 10 minutes, so I can get an extra bit of time at home, and I'm not down there silly o'clock really. Obviously, sometimes you have to go down a little bit early if you're going to do an inspection. As I've alluded to, I think in the first episode, why more people can't look at the weather, and if you know it's going to be minus, why even do a pitch inspection when you know it's already going to be frozen off and rain is going to be rain, it's going to be flooded. Like the practice pitch, that our training pitch that we use, it's been just taken a batter and it's been out of action for 2 or 3 weeks, so I've had to shift training to fall in line so I can get on another training pitch before another team, and it's still not fully recovered. We had a quick look at it last night when we did some training, and it's almost there. It needs a sort of, our pitches just need a week or so of nice weather, and they'll dry out, thaw out, and the grass will start to recover. But yeah, a bit rough at the minute where we are. So yeah, that's what I'd sort of say about being a coach and setting up. And it's not all that bad. It's just getting the groove. And once you're away, and it will become no bother. There's not really too many barriers. I don't know if different people or different clubs, obviously they do their money differently. They might have to collect fees. It's luckily one of the jobs we don't do at ours. You pay your upfront fees and you don't pay for nothing else. So that's all good really. I'd hate to that part of it. If I had to do admin on who has and hasn't paid and chase them week in, week out, I don't think I'd be comfortable with that. So I'm glad all that sort of money stuff is taken out of my hands or each team's hands, and it's done centrally by people higher up in the club. They fire off all the information to parents and how to pay, so you don't get involved in that. You can literally just concentrate on your coaching, which is ideal. But yeah, so anybody who's looking to get into coaching or being a volunteer, the main things you've got to contest with week in and week out is setting up your pitch, checking your pitch, arranging with the opposition, and doing the FA full-time website thereafter. There's not all these crazy things that go on. It is really simple. And then if you can organise a ref, that's a bonus, like I say. If not, try and look within your group of parents if there's anyone who can help you out. Or don't be afraid to ref a game yourself. Like I say, it's not so bad. I quite enjoy doing it sometimes. There's times I do like doing it and sometimes I don't. Depends what side of the bed I wake up on. But, I think with a low ability team like mine, it helps to be on the pitch sometimes to encourage and say, you're doing well, mate, keep doing what you're doing. And so any coaches, it's not that bad. Organising yourself, organising with the other team, setting up, FA website, away you go. So that's all we've got time for on this week's episode of the Coach Dad podcast. On next week's episode, we're going to have a look at training sessions. I'm going to have a look at the very first one I put on and what I think I did right, what I think I did wrong, and how I almost quit. But for this week, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again.